did ask for the reports to be seconded. The minority did not second it. However, they stated, the opposition, that this is not going to inure to the benefit of Ghanaians. Already, we are struggling to secure an IMF bailout of $3 billion US. And in adding up all of these, we are increasing our debt portfolio. Why should they, as a minority, be supporting this? They think that they would rather require further discussion, further engagement on how to rather look at how best the situation in which the country finds itself would they'll be able to come out of it, either than going to be seeking for loans that would be jeopardizing the fortunes of the country. And so they're not for it. And as we speak, the various arguments are being made. And then after the debate, the speaker hearing is the first deputy speaker, Joseph Osei Owusu, who is chairing the proceedings. The speaker himself is not in the seat. We are unaware what time he himself will be stepping into the seat to be able to do this. But as we speak
okay,
now,
but Komla, do we know where exactly we are going to be procuring these loans from? What are the sources that we are going to for these loans?
So we've got, for instance, the 700 million. It's going to be coming from, that is for road construction, and that's coming from the African Export and Import Bank. That's the Afrexim Bank. We also have one from the World Bank, and there's also another one which is coming from the Afrexim Bank. A lot of them, I mean, it's between the Afrexim Bank, the World Bank, and then also the Export and Import Bank of Korea.
Okay.
So just a World Bank, the Afrexim Bank, and then the Korean Exim Bank as well. All of this that they are contracting.
All right, Komla, thank you very much. And so Parliament is going to rise again today, or until these loans are debated and passed, the House will sit, until they are able to do that. Is that the case?
Martin, the proceedings to consider these 5 loans is to last for just a day. So, I mean, they are expected to do this. If they have to go deep into the night, which I am expecting because they started about some 20 minutes ago, it means that it's going to take the whole day into the whole night, and possibly it might run into the early part of tomorrow morning. That's if the controversies do not
continue.
Come.
All right.
It might until that time.
Thank you very much, Komla Kluche, parliamentary correspondent, updating us on the 5 loans that are yet to be passed by the House, well, debated and passed. And definitely, as the day wears on, we'll also be updating you when we hear something more tangible or concrete from Parliament. Let's go to the courts now, away from Parliament. So, an Accra High Court has dismissed the contempt case against the North Tongue Member of Parliament, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. According to the court, the evidence presented by the plaintiff, Victor Kusi Boateng, is flawed, citing inconsistencies and doubt. My colleague, Lord Edwasari, was in court, has joined me in studio for a quick update or conversation around what exactly led to the court's decision to dismiss the case against the MP for North Tongue. He's joined us. Yeah, Lord, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Martin. Yeah.
To start with, was the MP himself in court, and what transpired in the early part of the proceedings?
So the North Tongue MP, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, he was in court. Reverend Kusi Boateng, however, did not show up. Now, the justice, who is Justice Charles James Dankwa, cited 3 key things that led to the dismissal of the case. Now, first of all, he cited a directive by the Chief Justice in November last year, 2022, citing that writs of summons are supposed to be effected or served by members of the judiciary. Now, in this case, the alleged bailiff, you recall the incident that happened in February, said that he served the MP at the premises of the Media House. This Ellis Ama, according to the court, is not a recognized member of the judiciary. And so on that grounds, it showed that the plaintiff disobeyed the court and did not use the rights procedure. Now, again, you recall that there was also the issue of whether Kwesi Boateng and then Kwabena Adu-Gyamfi were two different individuals or one and the same person. Now, the court held that although it's under investigations by the Ghana Revenue Authority, details available show that he had two different TIN numbers and also different mothers. And so it held that this was two separate individuals, but we are yet to see how the GRA will conclude on that matter. Now, citing all these things, there was also the issue of the chronology of what actually transpired on the day. Per what the plaintiff cited, the issues did not really match up because he was saying something else, and that was different from what had been provided in the writs of summons. Okay. And so this showed that it mainly raised doubts, according to the courts, in the minds of the public and did not really exude public confidence. And all this contributed to the fact that it made it inconsistent with what he was saying. They did not rule out the fact that there was a case, but the manner in which it was served or manner in which it was cited did not really live up to what the court was expecting. And so it essentially dismissed the case and then charged 10,000 Ghana cedis against the plaintiff in favor of
And I'm sure you've been the media tried to get his thoughts. Did he say anything? I'm sure he spoke to us, was it?
Indeed, yes. But essentially, the General Secretary, Fifi Kwetu, was also in court to back him up, and he stated that the exercise is really a waste of time. We can listen to him.
Okay.
We knew truth was definitely going to prevail. It was clearly unnecessary futility, a waste of everybody's time, an attempt to stop what we knew was just truth. And it's sad that this country has to be reduced to this level where people who are doing what is right have to be literally put into this whole exercise. The time is wasted, attempt is being made to create impression that they actually are the criminals when actually they're evil. So we can only say that for us it's basically justice done, which is expected to be, and we expect the people of Ghana to take clear inspiration from this and to know that between now and 2024, everything must be done to expose all the lies that are going on, bring out all the criminality that are going on without any fear, knowing that.
All right, so that's the General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Kwetu, also talking to the media. And Lord, so the man and whose case was in court himself, that's Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, was also spoke to the media, did he?
Indeed. Well, he stated that he's really been emboldened by the dismissal of the case, and as such, he's actually going to continue with more exposés. Let's listen to him.
Okay.
It gives us more verve, more drive, more inspiration to keep doing what is right in the national interest. And nothing is going to stop us now. We are no longer going to be distracted by all of these shenanigans, the abuse of the judicial process. And I'm glad that the judge really stamped the authority of the court and cleared this out of the way, dismissed it, and awarded costs so that we can focus really on the work we are doing for God and country. We will continue with the exposés and what is coming. The next in the series from the American edition will be published on Thursday. And Ghanaians will realize that, look, this whole thing is a criminal enterprise. It doesn't glorify God. And the earlier it is stopped. Our estimate is that over $1 billion will be spent on this project. Remember that there have been so many demolitions, many entities are demanding compensation.
All right, so that's Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, MP North Tongue, and I'm sure, Lord, what next? Do we know any new updates or anything else?
Well, so as it stands, the parties are to make any discoveries within a period of 10 days, but as it stands now, it's been dismissed with, without any
so no more court hearings. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. And Lord Edwasare, my colleague here at Media General, who was in court for that particular case, which has to do with Reverend Kwesi Boateng, who sued Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Let's bring you some quick back story on how all of this happened. So it says that this National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated received its certification of incorporation with its effective date being May 3, 2021, and signed by Joseph G. Gasebov, Superintendent of Corporations Division. And this is actually, so let me finish this and I'll give you what all of these are talking about. It is worthy of note that the name National Cathedral of Ghana and Museum Foundation Incorporated is unmistakably different from what was incorporated in Ghana some 2 years ago, prior, especially on the 18th of July 2029 as the National Cathedral of Ghana. And also, curiously, we have also discovered that none of the prominent ministers of the gospel who serve as trustees of the National Cathedral of Ghana feature in the article of incorporation and list of governors as submitted to U.S. authorities. So primarily, these are new discoveries of the Member of Parliament, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. He was in the United States of America, and as part of his investigations about the National Cathedral, found out that even the registration of the company or of the church or the cathedral didn't have the names of the trustees that we have in Ghana and several other things. And you heard him a few minutes ago saying that bigger exposés about the cathedral and what happened in the U.S., its registration, etc., will be revealed on Thursday. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as well and update you subsequently when they do become available. So looks like the Cathedral of Scandals is not going away anytime soon. You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. Let's shift our attention from the National Cathedral and Member of Parliament to another issue having to do with another Member of Parliament. This time around, it's the MP for South Dai, Roxy Nelson Dapaah-Mekpor, who has filed a suit at the Supreme Court seeking an order to revoke the appointment of Dr. Peter Apiah-Hene and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani as members of the Electoral Commission's board. The NDC MP in his suit added that the EC, the Attorney General, Mr. Apiah-Hene, the Hajia Tijani as the defendants. He is seeking an order that restrains the two board members from holding themselves out as such. You would recall that President Akufo-Addo recently appointed these three individuals, two of them very controversial, and they have come under severe criticism by sections of the public and some civil society organizations, including this MP who has just filed a suit at the Supreme Court asking for some action be taken. So let's give you a fair idea of what's been going on in the last few weeks since these appointments. So the reliefs being sought by the MP include that Dr. Apiah-Hene and Hajia Tijani are open sympathizers and affiliates of the NPP and therefore not qualified to be members of the Electoral Commission. It goes on to say that based on that, he is seeking an order to revoke the appointment of Dr. Apiah-Hene and Hajia Tijani by the President of the Republic of Ghana as members of the Electoral Commission. And so beyond what he's seeking the court to do, he's also saying that the president should do the needful and revoke their appointments. He's seeking an injunction to restrain Dr. Apiah-Hene and Hajia Tijani from acting as or holding themselves out as members of the Electoral Commission pending the determination of the suit. So those are major highlights of the suit that has been filed by Roxy Nelson Dapaah-Mekpor, MP for South Dai, to the Supreme Court, asking that the appointment of 2 out of the 3 new members of the Electoral Commission be reversed or revoked. We'll definitely update you and tell you how all of this will be playing out in court subsequently. Meanwhile, the Japanese government has earmarked a $500 million support to Ghana in the fight against terrorism and peace building. The Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announced this during a meeting with the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in Accra.
During the courtesy call, President Akufo-Addo recounted conflicts in the sub-region. He also explained the ongoing conflict in Sudan, which has affected the sub-region. He emphasized on the need to increase talks at the UN Security Council.
We have always been against great power domination of the affairs of the world. It is a position we will continue to hold, and that is why during the vote in the United Nations General Assembly, Ghana voted in favor of the motion condemning the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Great powers trampling on small nations and violating international law are not things we welcome, and within our modest means, we will register our disapproval of them.
In support, the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announced a $500 million funding to peace and security.
アクライニシアティブを支援いたします。
Without peace and stability, there can be no economic growth. We welcome Ghana's efforts through the Accra Initiative and other endeavors to secure peace and stability. Under the objective of contributing to the peace and stability of the Sahel region and the coastal states of the Gulf of Guinea and promoting sustainable growth, Japan will provide $500 million of support over the next 3 years.
Right, so that meeting has been ongoing between President of the Republic and the Japanese Prime Minister. Now, in a related development, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, implored the Japanese Prime Minister to convince the IMF to grant Ghana the $3 billion loan. He is confident that the input of the Japanese Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida, will facilitate agreement with the IMF without delay. He was speaking during a courtesy call by the Japanese Prime Minister in Accra.
The Japanese Prime Minister is on a 2-day visit to Ghana. The courtesy call on the President discussed mutual cooperation and bilateral ties. Other issues also centered on assisting Ghana to set its economy on sound footing. Currently, Ghana is before the IMF for a $3 billion bailout. The President asked the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida to put in a word with the IMF.
Ghana is also counting on the support of Japan in reaching a favorable agreement with the International Monetary Fund, which will pave the way for the robust recovery of Ghana's economy. We've had to go to the fund for assistance in order to help repair our public finances and restore our balance of payments in the short term, whilst we continue to work on the medium to long-term structural changes that are the core of our goal of building a resilient, robust Ghanaian economy and building a Ghana beyond aid.
He again asked the Japanese Prime Minister to consider investment in the mineral sector.
Indeed, I've made it known to Prime Minister Kishida that Ghana is endowed with abundant natural resources, which my government is seeking to use as a basis to transform its economy from the current reliance on the export of raw materials into a value-adding one, with the vision of taking Ghana out of dependence on aid to a self-reliant economy beyond aid.
The Japanese Prime Minister is sure to provide support to Ghana, especially in the areas of agriculture.
In
order to contribute to the food security of Ghana, and to provide support to increase production and improve the quality of rice, a few moments ago, exchange of notes were signed for the project for the enhancement of rice seeds production capacity.
He spoke about support for the expansion of the Tema Motorway.
Ghanaと協力して引き続き着実に実施をしてまいります。
We also reaffirmed the importance of further promotion of development cooperation. Infrastructure is the foundation of development. We will cooperate with Ghana to secure the steady implementation of Phase 2 of the project for the improvement of the Tema Motorway roundabout that serves as the junction of major highways, including the Abidjan-Lagos corridor, which is critical for the development of the West African Economic Region.
Earlier, the two countries signed a memorandum of understanding in the areas of rice seed production and also human resource management.
We're shifting our attention to some other stories now, and aggrieved customers of defunct Gold Coast Fund Management are demonstrating over their 5-year locked-up funds totaling in excess of 5.5 billion Ghana cedis. A scheduled meeting between leadership of the coalition and the Securities and Exchange Commission management ended inconclusively, impressing customers to protest what they describe as government's insensitivity to customers' plight. Customers are bent on talking people out of the investment in Ghana and anything related to their pension. So on your screens now are some of the aggrieved customers who are saying that their locked up funds should be released by the state, and it looks as though this has been ongoing for several years, and unfortunately very little to no action has been done to assist them. Our reporter George Queening is there. He'll be joining us shortly for an update, but let's listen to some of the aggrieved customers who've been speaking about their frustration regarding their locked up funds.
I took a loan of 40 million CFA when I was redeployed from my duty station in Abuja to Lome with the intention of buying a house. I had to bring this amount of money to Ghana years back when the exchange rate was nothing to talk about as compared to today. And I finally ended up getting an investment of 220,000 Ghana cedi. That amount of money, the same 40 million, went beyond 800 plus as of December last year. So even the 220 which I have is nothing. You understand what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, the government came in, we did some regularization, and I was given 50,000 Ghana cedi, and that was the end. I mean, the 40 million CFA, an amount that could have bought me a 2-bedroom apartment in the UK, anywhere in the world. That was how it ended. As I talk to you now, my husband is a retiree, and he suffered stroke after this whole, what do you call it, DDEP, whatever came into being. And he's right here in the car. We're from the hospital. You know, when he heard that things were getting better, when the Ministry of Finance promised we're going to pay them, he became a bit better. Now, the whole of yesterday, he couldn't speak. We're just from the hospital. Right here is in the car.
It's terrible. This is a country which leaders are not caring about, citizenship. Citizens are suffering and people are just dying day in, day out. It's only Ghana that you cannot do investments. It's only Ghana that you cannot do investments. And I believe investment is important thing for everybody. If you know you'll be going on pension, what you have to do is to making sure that you have investment, and this investment will cater for your family, your children, and every extended families. It's only Ghana. Only Ghana. 6 years ago, we did investment, and this investment has been just closed down, and nothing good is coming out. And we cannot even hear from the government when these monies are going to be paid. People are dying day in, day out. We hear stories. Customers are dying, and nobody in the government could tell us anything.
Very frustrating voices there, but in subsequent bulletins, George Queening will update us on how all of that played out in the day. On to some very devastating news, and one person is feared dead after being trapped in a collapsed story building under construction at Medina in the Greater Accra region. Officials from the management of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Ghana Fire Service and the Ghana Police Service had a tough time retrieving the trapped person from the debris as there were no equipment to assist with the rescue operation. My colleague Godwin Asediba has joined us from the location of the disaster for a quick update on what's been happening. Mr. Asediba, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Have they been able to rescue this individual who we are told is still trapped in the debris?
Thank you very much, Martin. Currently, I've been moved from the site because the environment was turning a bit hostile, because we had some individuals from nowhere who were preventing us from speaking to the eyewitnesses around, because we have been told by the eyewitnesses there that the 3-story building structure was razed within 2 weeks. And I am able to tell you also that all the debris that were left in the place overnight after the huge building collapse have all been cleared from the site, even though the police had barricaded the area that no person should go within that particular space. We've been told by the eyewitnesses that 3 tipper trucks were actually there which worked overnight to pick all the concrete materials from there and all of that. So it's been an active night, really stressful one for most of these workers over there. But then it was a tedious task yesterday for the Ghana National Fire Service, the Ghana Police Service, and the NADMO officials, because they did not have the right equipment to be able to, rescue an individual who was stuck under the rubble somewhere around 3:50 p.m. when the incident happened, it had to take the Member of Parliament for the area, Francis Xavier Sosu, to call on individual benevolent to come to their aid. Lucky for them, they had an excavator later which was able to retrieve the body somewhere in the middle of the night, but unfortunately the person was pronounced dead. So this morning, we had people from the Ghana Institute of Engineering who have actually come around to ascertain the situation, and I'm currently around the Municipal Assembly here with the team to get to speak to the Assembly to know how they went about with the building of the three-story building structure, which unfortunately collapsed. Now, according to one of their rules, the Engineering Council Act 819 requires that all construction projects must be overseen by qualified and experienced and licensed professionals who have the knowledge and expertise to ensure that buildings are safe and structurally, sound. But you can clearly tell that these people did not go through that particular procedure. So I've been joined by David Kotia Nyante. He is the Executive Director of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, who has actually been with me from the site through to the Municipal Assembly premises. So what have we been able to pick so far?
Well, at the site, as you're aware, we were not able to see any rubble or anything of the sort. The whole place had been cleared, and there was very few items there on the ground to see. So we followed up to the Municipal Assembly to be able to talk to the engineers here, find out what process they went through and whether they were even aware that any such building was coming up. But unfortunately, they are not available, so we still don't have answers to some of the questions we had for them.
So what's the next action now?
We'll continue to follow up and try and get to the root cause of the situation. We'll see what measures they are putting in place. We want to know the particular process that project went through, and from there we'll try and assess and be able to find out what happened.
All right, so Martin. I just spoke to radio, that's why I'm mentioning Mawina. We just spoke to Engineer David Kotia Nyante, who is the Executive Director for the Ghana Institution of Engineering. So just like I indicated earlier, we were at the Adenton Footbridge area where the incident happened, and it's actually not safe there because the person who was actually threatening and telling us to leave the premises, we have been told by some of the eyewitnesses as a land guard, and he mentioned that he's going to bring some of his people along with him. So if we do not leave the premises, then we might be in trouble. So this is what is happening currently, but I will ensure that all viewers should stay tuned because the full report will be available on these places.
Godwin, thank you very much for that quick update from that unfortunate story where one person, we are told, died as a result of a collapsed building. Godwin Asedeba will update us in subsequent bulletins. You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. Let's go to the airport now. Some good news coming in following the devastation in Sudan. The first batch of 74 Ghanaian nationals being evacuated from war-torn Sudan are expected to touch down at the Kotoka International Airport later this afternoon from Ethiopia. The 74 were among over 80 Ghanaians who successfully crossed the Sudan-Ethiopian border with the assistance of officials of the Ghana Embassy in Addis Ababa. Several countries continue to evacuate their nationals following sustained fighting between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces. And to get an update on this from the airport, Noble Crosby Annan has been at the airport awaiting the arrival of these Ghanaians, and he's joined us for an update from the airport. Noble, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. What do you have for us?
So at the moment, these individuals who were caught in the middle of a conflict in what is beginning to degenerate into a full-blown civil war in Sudan, they, in a few moments from now, will be going to their various homes. Now they see some light at the end of the tunnel, but it has come at a certain cost that they will have to put the education on hold, at least for now. For 3 weeks, they were victims of a war ongoing in Sudan. At the moment, they have landed at the Kotoka International Airport. What we're being told is they're going to the immigration procedure so that they will be able to go out and then meet with their families who have not seen or heard from them in a very, very long time. So some parents, some relatives are anxious at the
All right, we seem to have lost that connection to Noble Crosby, and who was updating us from the airport about the arrival of some Ghanaians from Sudan. We'll be giving you those specific numbers in terms of those who have arrived when we do get those details. You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. Stay with us. When we return, there is business.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Open your eyes. People fall and they rise. Make you no worry about the things you know we change. The things you know we do today. You go do them tomorrow.
Wow, this girl's got talent. You too can change your world. And it's affordable with Airtel Tigo data bundles. Bring your dreams to life with the best data bundles only on Airtel Tigo. Dial *111# now.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
It's time to kill it! Follow freedom fighter! Papa kill it!
Mosquitoes, cockroaches, and flying inside. Today marks a new dawn to freedom. Ghana Labour Force. Let's all rally together to kill mosquitoes, cockroaches, and flying insects for good. Be free, like Prophet Divine. I too was afflicted with mosquitoes. No. Please. No, don't go. Wait. Papa, kill it. Win here. Kill it. Todiekum, kill it. Kill it at the romantic and Tontomo. I am delivered. Mosquitoes, cockroaches, and flying insects. Kill it. Hello. Oh, Miba. Ejuma way there and never Papa kill it.
Kill it. Todiekum. Leave room for 15 minutes after spraying and allow adequate ventilation. FDA actually.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period na say problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me mogam no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro a me fire no ene ma won kra mienu kofro kwa na mkwan mu a eba
head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama no nuru a ene ne ho eden a watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you. Hello.
Hey, ohwehwe what che?
Okay.
A free bra wo di end point wa dance. Am me call you no. Me Johnson say man enkoyie and person na my emre nyina na magina sebema na me be fear for there e ho na nyina jaresa.
You heard everything. I have secret. End point is my secret. End point homeopathic.
Time now for business, and Menu Afol has joined us in studio. Hello, Menu.
Hi, Martin.
Good afternoon. You look good in red.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
All right. So let's know what's happening in
Thank you. Welcome to the business segment. My name is Minu Afo. In our first story today, former Finance Minister Dr. Kwabena Duffuor has accused Ken Ofori-Atta of deepening Ghana's economic woes by resorting constantly to Eurobonds. In an exclusive interview with TV3, Dr. Duffuor said successive finance ministers who came after him departed from the policy of raising domestic revenue to borrowing recklessly on the international capital market.
I've mentioned that borrowing started from 2013. He came to deepen challenges, you understand. For us, between 2013 and 2016, we were borrowing 1 billion. They came to borrow 2 billion and over. So for about 8 years, we as a nation borrowed about $15 billion from the Eurobond market. And we say, if you look at our balance of payments, we have a bigger issue that we have not been looking at as a nation. Look at our balance of payments, our exports earnings. You look at the balance of payments from the economist's point of view, and there's something wrong with that. No. As an economist, I see the balance of payments for Ghana, and they are okay. But I want to put on my banking hat, as a former governor, I will ask the question, what impact is the export earnings having on the cash flow of government?
Right. Meanwhile, the former finance minister, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, has described as illegal the Bank of Ghana's decision to finance government's deficits beyond the 5% threshold allowed by law. Speaking to TV3 in an exclusive interview again, the former Bank of Ghana governor said such acts are at variance with public financial management.
See, I've been the governor before, and I wouldn't like to comment on such things. It's illegal, it is wrong. Months ago, I mentioned that it is time that some of us were called to help rescue the situation. You understand? The country belongs to all of us.
You say it's illegal for the Bank of Ghana to be printing money to...
The law is there. During our time, the law said you could take 10% of the previous year's total revenue to support the budget.
Now it says no more than 5% of the
So if they're going beyond that, it is illegal, period.
But the governor, the Bank of Ghana issued a statement to suggest that the economy was in difficulty. We had to import essential commodities. I'm sure salaries had to be paid. And so there was a need to cover up for the deficit.
But I've explained to you, how do you manage an economy? Public finance does not teach that. Public finance says that you mobilize domestic resources to provide public service for the people.
Well, away from that, some companies under the food and beverages industry are yet to implement the 3 new taxes passed by Parliament because they lack the right system for a successful calibration. CEO of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chum Akwabwa, who disclosed this to 3 Business, said most of the companies had short notices to effect the necessary changes.
New taxes have taken effect, the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chum Akwabwa, says some companies will not be able to comply immediately.
Companies that are going to implement some of the taxes for the first time, if you take those that are producing the fruit juices, for example, the new introductions to their operations, and therefore they were not paying the excise duty on their fruit juices. And by the law, if you are paying excise duties or excisable products on drinks, you need to have the tax stamp. The tax stamp, for example, requires that you have the applicator that fixes the stamp on it. Within this short period, it will be very difficult for companies to comply, those companies in that sector to comply, because you don't even have the applicator, you've not even tried it, you've not run it with your system and your operations to see whether it will work or not. So,
for tax policy analyst Alex Ampabin, government introduced these 3 new taxes at the wrong time.
Any new tax policy that we are bringing has to respond to the economic situation of the country. We got it wrong. The country is going through a recession, no doubt about it. And in a period of recession, The policy should be about raising consumption, raising productivity to make the needed compensation of the tax revenue at the end of the year. But if you are taxing the businesses, raising so many taxes at this critical point, how do you expect the businesses to grow?
And in more news, Economist Intelligence Unit EIU is predicting a 30% depreciation of the cedi to the dollar in 2023. This is lower than the 44% depreciation of the local currency in 2022. In its 2023 country report on Ghana, the UK-based firm said it expects the cedi to depreciate significantly this year. Now, well, it further said that the cedi depreciation will be driven by increased demand for hard currency due to high import prices, inflation, capital flights, rising profit repatriation by Ghanaian-based multinationals, and weak investor sentiment in the face of the ongoing debt crisis. And that's how we bring business news on Midday Live to an end. My name is Menu Afo. Do stay with us for sports.
The fishing industry in Ghana is of prime importance to the economy and the well-being of the people. Sadly, this critical industry faces a hidden threat that threatens its very existence and survival. Join us as we shine our spotlight on the canker of illegal fishing, a practice that has devastated our marine resources, depleting our fish stock, leaving our fishermen with empty nets, fish processors struggling to survive, and our communities in dire straits. We delve into safe fish handling and processing, certification and licensing schemes. We focus our sharp lenses on child labor and trafficking in fishing communities to demand accountability and responsiveness from duty bearers. Join Three Foundations advocacy for Ghana's fisheries recovery through missions compelling and captivating advocacy. Keep an eye out on TV3. This program is under the auspices of the Feed the Future Ghana Fisheries Recovery Activity, funded by USAID, from the American people, live on News 360 and across all Media General social media platforms.
Give me the drums. Give me the bass.
Singing a song, beating a drum.
Now, hit it!
Celebration.
GH Music's biggest night is here. The 24th Vodafone Ghana Music Awards, happening live Saturday, 6th May at the Grand Arena. A night of glitz and glamour, show-stopping performances, plus all the drama that comes out with Who Wins What. Performing live, Sarkodie, Black Sherif, Jackie, PSA Esther, Medical, Last Minute, Episode, Oforian Ponsa, Kim Promise. Limited tickets are out for 500 Ghana cedis and 700 Ghana cedis VIP on star 713 star 33 star 24 hash. And also at Nalam Stores, Accra Mall and Charterhouse. For VVIP, call 050-1288-520. The 24th VGMAs is powered by Charterhouse and sponsored by TV3, KPMG, Yango, our media partners, and Vodafone.
Our music lives.
Welcome back to Midday Live on TV3. Just before we go to sports, though, some news just in from the Office of the Special Prosecutor having to do with the recent conversations about illegal mining accusations. The Special Prosecutor has waded into it, and this is a statement just coming in. It says that the office, in 2022, October 10th specifically, published that it had commenced investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offences in respect of illegal mining. It was stated that the investigations targeted the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect of the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road vehicles, gold nuggets, etc. And specific institutions mentioned are the Lands and Minerals, Natural Resources, the Forestry Commission, and other public officials and private persons. The OSP acknowledges the recent calls for action and investigation into the matters by the public and civil society following the publication of a report by Professor Frimpong Boateng, who was chairman of the IMCIM, which is the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. The OSP welcomes the calls for action and says that investigations have already commenced into it and that all persons deemed culpable of corruption or corruption-related offences will be dealt with. So that's the news just coming in from the office of the Special Prosecutor regarding the reports from Professor Frimpong Boateng. Details on our website. Time now for sports. So Reku Ampofu joins us. Hello, Reku.
Oh, hi,
Good
Martin.
afternoon. Today no fire to kill, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
Back to normal vibes.
Okay. So go ahead.
Well, we do start off with the Ghana Premier League, where Chim Kotoku Royals held league leaders Aduana FC to a 1-1 draw at Daewoo on match day 29. The result leaves Aduana FC still top of the league with 31 points, but head coach Parkwesi Fabian was displeased with officiating on the day. Now, for Kotoku Royals coach John Eduafo, he applauded the fighting spirit of his team.
Not the result I'm looking for, but I'm really highly disappointed in the referee in the second half. Because every ball that we came to tackle here is a foul against us. Look at the number of free kicks he gave them in the second half. Is that how we want a world champion of the league? It's very bad. Coming away to pick a point is not a bad result actually. But then, this game we should have won. But for the referee, we should have won this game.
For the performance, yes. But the results, no. Good performance. We created a lot of goal scoring chances, but we couldn't score as we expected until the final last minute. We got this free kick, and out of it we had the equalizer. I'm highly impressed by the performance they are putting up. They are really showing character and good attitude on the field to the last end. But then the results, we were expecting a maximum win and pick the 3 points. But a draw is equally good than lose.
To the big one on Tuesday night, where Arsenal will host City rivals Chelsea at the Emirates Stadium as they look to reclaim top spot in the English Premier League. Both coaches have been speaking ahead of the game.
I don't think it's unfair. It's football. We are Arsenal Football Club. We have to be here to win every single trophy. This is the demands. The reality, what happened in the last 15 years, that's not the reality. But the demands have to be there. So the thing that I like the most, again, I repeat myself, great, we are in Champions League. And everybody is still unsatisfied with the situation. And this is what we need if we want to move forward as a club and as a team.
Low on confidence, and they're also low on performance. So I think I shouldn't distinguish that and make it all about confidence. I think, as I keep saying, you can only work to get a level of performance to then bring confidence back. I've been here in periods where the club where they have had confidence has been low because nobody likes losing games. And I had moments here as a player where we dropped our standards as a collective and had to lift it. Fortunately, in those periods, when you look back over history, we managed to get it back through hard work, maybe level of the squad, whatever at the time. We changed manager a lot in some of those periods.
Now, before we go, just an update on the NBA playoffs, where the Philadelphia 76ers defeated Boston Celtics 119-115 in Game 1 of the Eastern Game Conference semifinals on Monday night. James Harden was the star of the show, scoring 45 points, including a three-pointer, to put the Sixers ahead with seconds remaining in the game. Well, that's how we're wrapping up the sports here on Midday Live. My name is Oreku Ampofu. Up next on the bulletin is entertainment with Noella.
Time now for entertainment news. Noella joins us in studio. Hello, Noella.
Hi, Martin.
Good to see you. What's happening in entertainment?
Well, we got the Met Gala that came off last night, and then also we got Mr. Miss Autism that happened over the weekend. Very great initiative going. So we have some details.
I missed my flight for the Met Gala, but I'm sure I'll be there next
Right, so we don't believe it. Okay. Coming up in entertainment this afternoon, and Gospel Songstress, a Rabana, and 3 VGMA nominations: Gospel Song of the Year, Songwriter of the Year, and Best New Artist of the Year. Now, speaking on New Day, the Gospel Diva said she got confused when her name was listed in the New Artist of the Year category, noting that she's been doing music for 14 years and doesn't see herself as a new artist. Irabana wants organizers of the awards to consider changing the name to Breakthrough Artist of the Year.
Songwriter of the Year,
Okay.
New Gospel Song of the Year, and the most controversial one, New Artist of the Year.
Oh,
it's controversial because you've been in the studio for 14 years.
Yes.
You've been on the scene for 14 years.
I was even confused myself when I heard my name.
But you filed for that nomination, didn't you?
Because I think it's an industry one, you don't need to
don't
file
need
for it. So I wasn't looking for, I didn't see myself as a new artist. So when you came, I called my manager, am I new?
But you had a 1 week window.
So it
to
was
change,
So
management
management went into consultation with them, and they explained to. They said that by virtue of the fact that I have not been on the scheme before, I have not applied, I have not been nominated, I am new to the scheme. So with that, I don't think I have to ask to be disqualified, because by their explanation, I haven't got any scheme. They have the scheme.
Is it acceptable to you, the explanation that they gave?
It left to me alone, I will accept it. But if other things come in with other people's own, so if I look at mine, I will accept it then, because I have not applied for it, I have not filed for it, I've never been on it. So probably I'll think that it's the name that has to change, because the moment I say new artist, it rings that kind of...
What name do you think we should give to it then?
I'll say a breakthrough artist.
Breakthrough artist, that's better.
Because I've had Ajimenkwa doing well, but it didn't break me through like this one. So I think the issue for me is the name, because the explanation makes sense to me.
I see.
Breakthrough. Well, on to some more stories this afternoon. The third edition of Mr. and Miss Autism was held over the weekend, with Mona Lisa Finn Akins being crowned Miss Autism Ghana. Alfonso Kwapon Labi emerged Mr. Autism Ghana. The two received a prize package of 15,000 Ghana cedis each and products from sponsors. This initiative is to help society appreciate the abilities of persons living with autism and ultimately put an end to the stigma parents with children on the spectrum go through. Apart from the winners, other participating contestants went home with 10,000 Ghana cedis each and products from sponsors. Now, the Miss and Mr. Autism Ghana initiative is organized by Afi Antonio Foundation. Well, that's how we wrap up on entertainment news here on Media Live. My name is Noel. I'll be handing over to Martin now.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's find out what's happening on the international front.
A Ugandan National Army soldier has shot and killed a government minister whom he was guarding. Retired Colonel Charles Okello Ngola, the Deputy Minister for Labour, was shot at his home in the capital Kampala on Tuesday morning. It is not yet clear whether there was an argument between the soldier and his boss. Some eyewitnesses say the soldier walked around the neighborhood shooting in the air. The soldier, who's yet to be officially identified, then shot himself dead minutes later. Reports say a number of people were injured in the incident. Videos on social media show locals gathering at the scene in shock. Colonel Ngola had previously served as a deputy minister for defense. The leader of a Kenyan cults group and 6 others have been rearrested minutes after a court in Malindi released them. Magistrate Ivy Wasike freed Paul Ntenge Mackenzie and his suspected accomplices after an application by the prosecution to close the file. State prosecutor Vivian Kambaga said she wanted them to be tried in another court on charges that will include terrorism. They have been driven to neighboring Mombasa County, which is further south along the coast. They were initially charged with murder, radicalization, and threatening public safety after more than 100 followers of the cult group were found in mass graves last month. Mr. Mackenzie, the leader of the group, was accused of encouraging them to starve themselves to death. He denies any wrongdoing. A post-mortem report showed that some of the victims were also killed through suffocation and strangulation.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for watching. If you visit our website, 3news.com, you'll find many more stories there. Do have a good afternoon, and as always, stay positive. My name is Martin Nasiru-Date. Bye for now.
Life doesn't come with a manual. It comes with a mother. This Mother's Day, Sunday, May 14th, give your mama and any other mother figure in your life the gift of quality time as 92.73 FM and TV3 presents a special event for all the amazing mothers out there. Join us for Dining with Mama, an exclusive Mother's Day lunch event in partnership with Tomric Hotel. Come wine and dine your mom in